Hello, hello. Welcome back, guys. Hope y'all doing well. We're going to be doing a timeless reading today. However, even though it is timeless, we are currently, well, the eclipse already happened, but that energy is going to carry over for a while. We are in eclipse season officially. We are now officially in Taurus season, and we are also in a new moon. So we're going to be talking about the astrology as per usual. I'm going to have the charts and the transits right next to me. If you don't want to watch the astrology portion, you can go down to the timestamp in the comments and just go to the tarot portion. Yeah, that said, let's hop right into the astrology. I am drawn to Pluto, heavy Pluto, but it's other planets and I guess star that are essentially influencing Pluto. So take a look at the transits. I'm going to be looking at a lot of squares to Pluto. We have a lot squaring Pluto today. So we have the Sun squaring Pluto, we have the Moon squaring Pluto, and we also have Jupiter squaring Pluto, and where's the other one? We have the Node squaring Pluto. Pluto is the unconscious, it is buried truths, it is essentially the unseen. It is a lot of different stuff that has to do with it's almost like, it's very similar to a shadowy energy is what I feel with it. And given the fact that we are literally in an eclipse right now, in the energy, I suppose it just happened, that's the kind of energy that you're going to see coming up when we are working through this type of transit. It's something where it's like with the Sun squaring Pluto, the Sun being essentially the way we show up in the world, the way others perceive us, and the unseen being squared with Pluto. It's almost like this energy of wanting to feel seen, wanting to feel as though we fit in some kind of way, and really just striving to find that sense of camaraderie amongst your peers, whether that's in new groups that you're entering, or that's just within your family group, or within your friend group, or even within yourself. I feel like this is essentially a struggle between how you identify within yourself and how that is playing out in the world. And I feel like the fact that we have all of this squaring energy going on, there's a lot of the emotions that are coming up, especially Moon squaring Pluto, Sun squaring Pluto. And we also have the Sun conjunct the Moon, right? And so there's this huge push and pull between your feelings, how you're feeling about how you're showing up in the world, how other people are seeing that. And it's this energy of worrying about how you're being perceived. We talked about that in the past. Let's see. We do still have Venus squaring Saturn. What else were we talking about? Jupiter squaring Pluto as well, right? And so this has a lot to do with our blessings. This has a lot to do with essentially, excuse me, my throat is acting up. So I feel like this has a lot to do with essentially how you're communicating your truth, right? We do have Mercury sextile Mars, and I do feel like that's a really nice benefic energy for us to work through this energy. Even though there's a lot of tension between the unseen and it's just really blanket overall, like, it just feels very like 3D materialist to me. It's like the world, like career, finances. Jupiter is also the, I'm so sorry guys. Jupiter is also the planet of finances, if I recall correctly. And so that has a lot to do with our relationship to money, our relationship to the physical world, our relationship to other people, our relationship to our emotions. There are a lot of different relationships coming up right now because of this Plutonic energy being triggered by, I personally feel like, this eclipse. I know it's technically separate, but the fact of the matter is, like, we have this conjunction between the Sun and the Moon. We have all this crazy energy going on between our emotions and the unseen, right? And let's go ahead and take a look at Lilith squaring the Moon, Lilith squaring Mercury, and see. I don't think we have Lilith squaring Pluto, no. But if you guys remember, Lilith has a lot to do with the shadowy aspects of ourselves, and Mercury being the planet of consciousness, the planet of enlightenment, the planet of communication, as well as the Moon, planet of emotions, planet of the unseen. Is it even a planet? I don't think the Moon is a planet. It's technically, I don't know. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but I feel like there's a lot of pressure, man. There's a lot of pressure on how our inner shadow is being expressed. How are you giving your shadow a place to feel seen? And I feel like that's also what's coming up here. It's understanding that at the external level, everybody's going to have their own ways of acting out. They're going to have their own ways of trying to feel validated and seen and heard. And it most often has nothing to do with you, how people are showing up in your life. On the internal level, this has to do with how we're validating our own shadow, how we're giving our inner shadow a place to feel seen and heard, right? And so I feel like the way to work through that, especially with this Jupiter squaring Pluto energy here, is really finding a way to, it's finding a healthy way for that to come through and utilizing that energy to further develop your own internal gifts and your own external blessings to manage that. It's allowing the shadow aspect of yourself space to feel like it has a place in your life. And so it's one of those things where it's kind of integrating the ego. I know there's a lot of different opinions on ego, and especially in the spiritual community. Excuse me, I can't speak today. But in my personal opinion, I feel like there's a need to integrate the ego and to allow it space to operate within our reality, because I do feel like essentially that is how we operate within our 3D physical world. If you want to look at the tree of life, you start to get into the ego as you go further down in the tree of life, down at the bottom Sephiroth, at the kind of little bottom, like the very, very bottom is like the actual physical 3D reality, and as you move up you have the ego, you have the consciousness, and then you have the ethers and the blueprints, and you can get into all that kind of stuff. But it's essentially understanding that it's as above so below, and there's going to be a push and a pull. That's what I see the sun conjunct moon as. It's not opposing, so it's not as intense in terms of like really trying to go back and forth. It's more so creating a pressure between the two. And we also have sun conjunct Jupiter as well, right? And so there's this huge energy that we've been working through this for a few readings now, where we're really trying to figure out our place in the world. And I don't necessarily feel like it just has to do with career. I feel like this has to do with love, life, and relationships in general. It's understanding how you fit into different groups and different dynamics. And I feel like social media is also playing a big part in this. Pluto has a lot to do with technology and essentially reframing our relationship to technology. Also, why I wanted to say thank you guys for like being understanding with me taking a few days to rest. I am still reframing my relationship to technology, and as I'm doing this more for you guys, doing more readings, I'm also trying to understand how that fits into my life in a way that's allowing me to feel like I'm taking care of myself still, but still showing up for you guys to give you guys what I can. That type of energy is what I feel like we are working through, right? And if we're talking about love, Lilith sextile Venus, that's a very beneficial energy for us to essentially work through this. This is that energy of really finding comfort through, on the external level, friends and family and a partner if you do, really giving yourself space to move throughout the romantic world is what I'm hearing. Moving throughout the romantic world, moving throughout the platonic world. I mean, I feel like they're both just as important. And so it's also reevaluating your relationship to love. How do you view love? How does love play a role in your life? How do you play a role in love in other people's lives? And understanding all of that together. I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. I'm going to have that timestamp below if you don't want to see that. We're going to hop straight into the tarot portion. If you want to book a personal reading, see the extended videos, or watch or listen to my music, all of that is in the description. I am finally caught up on extended videos. Thank you all for being patient. So we should be taking this over to an extended today. Alright, so let's go and see what comes out. To give thanks to my guides, angels, and ancestors for any messages that we need to see, hear, and know. For a timeless reading for anything that wants to come out. Alright, we're going to be using the Ethereal Visions Luna Edition Tarot. Okay, bottom of the deck we have the High Priestess. This is a very beautiful card. I don't think we've gotten this one in this deck yet. So again, this really just feels like that moon energy. I mean, she has a lot of like moon symbolism on her. She has a crescent moon by her chest, and then that moon with the two crescents at the top. I think there's probably a name for it. You'll see it if you get into like different kinds of like, I guess, magical practices. You can call it witchcraft if you want. It's like I think in paganism, that's a symbol that's used in paganism. Let's see here. Let's go through the cards. We have death. We have, what is this? We have the star, which I don't think we've actually gotten in this deck yet. We have the moon, which we also have not gotten in this deck yet. And then we have the Page of Pentacles, which has actually come out in every reading we've done with this deck so far. Excuse me. Okay, so I mean this is major cycles if I've ever seen them. Right? I feel like this is you really enhancing your spiritual abilities, and I feel like because we're in this eclipse energy, and because we have all this insane energy going on with Pluto, it's not even like insane in a bad way, just intense energy with Pluto. That's what I'm seeing here with death, that scorpionic energy, right? And if you want to think about terms of like axes, Scorpio is the axis of Taurus. If you could look at the astrological wheel, every sign has an opposing energy. And Taurus and Scorpio are those opposing energies, right? And that's what I see with the death card here. I see this energy where it's something having to do with how you see your wish fulfillment, but I feel like that's changing. I feel like you're changing the way you see wish fulfillment. You're changing the way it's like something new has come in, some kind of new idea. Some kind of new idea here that is completely restructuring how you view your path, how you view your abundance. And I feel like that's you completely restructuring what abundance looks like to you, because it's going to be different for everybody. I feel like I say that all the time. I watch my videos and I notice I say that a lot, because it's true. It is going to be different for everybody, because it's subjective, man. You know, this is something where it's really understanding your path. And I feel like with all this Pluto energy going on, this Plutonic energy going on, that's the unseen. Especially with the Jupiter squaring Pluto. The stress between, like, not only it's not just finances, but it's like, what do your blessings look like to you? And it's almost like Spirit's asking you to have faith in your process and in your path, and trust that when you're making these really big decisions to go in completely new directions, right? Page of Pentacles, starting something that you may have never done before. This may, like, you may have just been hit with a new idea and you're like, you know, I feel like I need to do this, and you may not know why. And I feel like that's because you're being guided to do this. And I feel like there's a need to tap into the unseen with the moon and the star. I feel like there are messages for you in the ethers. If you're not somebody who feels comfortable with meditating, do something that's very relaxing to you. Meditation isn't always just sitting down and meditating, right? A lot of the times, if you do research on meditation, or you study some of the older texts that have to do with, especially in Eastern theology, if you want to get into like yogic philosophy, a lot of the times meditation isn't seen as a practice. It is essentially a state of mind, and that comes down to mindfulness, right? And that's something where I feel like you're applying that sense of mindfulness with the High Priestess. And we got the Empress, and we got the Emperor. I love these cards, man. And we got the Three of Swords. Look at that. So I feel like this is you essentially coming into that sense of balance. We could look at this in terms of counterparts. I mean, I don't normally like to do those kinds of readings, like twin flame readings and stuff, because it's different for everybody. If you resonate with that, I'll tap into it a little bit, but the way I'm picking up on this energy is essentially it's like you're healing from all of this, man. It's like this heartbreak or this struggle that you went through. So I feel like this is surrounding a particular path. I feel like this has to do with your spiritual journey. If I'm being completely honest, this really feels like a deeply spiritual lesson for you, that's allowing you to balance your masculine and feminine energy here. And this heartbreak and this struggle that you went through is allowing you to utilize Utilize that pain again to transmute it into something beneficial for your life. We talk about this a lot. This is an energy that comes through a lot for us. I feel like this path that you're on is so much deeper than what you see on the physical. This is so much deeper than a twin flame journey. This is so much deeper than being financially abundant. This is a really deeply ancestral lesson. I feel like you're not only healing, but progressing. What you're doing and the things you're doing now are essentially like you are the ancestor to, future generations, man. You are your ancestors. And by way of that, you are an ancestor. If you want to think about time, time is very non-linear, right? If you think about the space-time continuum and the way time works, it's not just a straight line. Time can flow differently depending on essentially gravitational pull, if I'm correct, if you want to get into it. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Essentially, just like gravity is the warping of the fabric of space, right? And the way time flows has to do with the density of that fabric, if I'm correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. I am not a metaphysicist, but this is kind of what I'm channeling right now. But the fact of the matter is, whatever journey you're on, whether you're doing this through the soulmate twin flame journey, whether you're doing this through essentially building an empire for yourself or building businesses for yourself, or whether you're just doing this by just like chilling at your house and like getting triggered by random things, all of those are valid, man. They're all serving the same purpose in your spiritual growth, right? We just talked about that for a long time. That was a straight like 8 minutes we talked about that. Let's go ahead and just I think I'm gonna do one more pull and then we'll see what comes out. But this is pretty clear cut, man. This is just, I feel like somebody just really needed this validation that these things you're going through do serve a purpose, right? And keep in mind, like, this eclipse energy is intense, man. Think back to where you were the last eclipse, the eclipse before that, and the eclipses before that. There were so many of them. Look at how much you've grown since then. Look at how, it's just like, I keep being drawn to this. Like, you've really leveled up in all ways, and you've balanced your masculine and feminine energies, and you're now in a state of receptivity to not only receive your blessings, but to take action and maintain those blessings because you have the blueprint, you have the tools. You know what you need to do, and you got it. Let's see what comes out. Alright, we have the Page of Cups. I don't think we've gotten this card before. We have the Nine of Swords, which does come out quite a bit. And then we have the Three of Pentacles. So now I feel like we're tapping into love. Quite honestly, with the Three of Pentacles, Nine of Swords, and Page of Cups, I feel like you have an opportunity to invest in some new relationship. I feel like there is a sense of, yeah, we got the Five of Cups. Bottom of the deck. I feel like you have an opportunity to move into a new relationship with somebody. This doesn't always have to be love. This can be you feeling confident in a new opportunity. Whether that's in career, this could be an opportunity for you to go on some kind of trip. I feel like whatever this opportunity is, it feels emotionally fulfilling. It's something where I feel like it's bringing you a lot of happiness, and there's a sense of just needing to let go of your fears. That comes up a lot in the readings too. Releasing the fears and the need to control whatever it is the outcome may or may not be, and to just go with that flow of the process of these new blessings and beginnings. If this isn't love, this is essentially you letting your guard down, not letting your fears hold you back from investing in this relationship, and essentially not letting this whole thing here, not letting that past stop you from investing in this, right? This person here is focused so much on those spilled cups, they don't notice the two behind them. And I feel like that's why we have the Three of Swords and the Emperor and the Empress. I feel like Spirit is really asking you to take a deep look at how the past may be holding you back. Again, remember, Pluto, with all this Plutonic energy, that's exactly what we're tapping into, especially with everything going on with Lilith. If you look at go back and look at the transits chart, you'll see all this different stuff we have going on. I didn't tap into all of it because there's a lot going on today. I just wanted to touch on the main stuff. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening here. I feel like a lot of this unseen pain and this trauma, it's really leading you down a deeper path of self-awareness. And that path of self-awareness is what's allowing you to build this future for yourself. But not only build, I feel like you've already started building. I feel like it's giving you the energy and the strength you need to maintain that. And remember, we talk about this all the time. These new levels, they come with new responsibilities. They come with a certain level of, you need a certain level of poise to be able to maintain this much. All right. And I feel like these are the types of people that I've been reading for lately. In these readings, it's been coming through where these are you, whoever I'm reading for, is somebody who is extremely powerful, somebody who is extremely in tune with their emotions, who is extremely in tune with the world around them, who is extremely in tune with their own body. The mind and the body and the heart are all in alignment with the soul, and that is allowing you to build these very, very powerful structures in your life, and is building upon these pillars to create a solid foundation as an ancestor for future generations, right? That's powerful, man. It's beautiful and that's powerful. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to get one more piece of advice. How can you manage this? And then we'll take this over to Patreon. Four of Swords, do not be afraid to take time to rest. That is why I took some time to rest. We have the Magician. Okay, we'll take one more. And the Nine of Pentacles. Don't be afraid to tend to your inner garden, right? We have the Nine of Pentacles. I don't think we've gotten this in this deck before. Love this card. We have the Magician. Very powerful spiritual manifestor here. And the Four of Swords. So just because you have a lot to manage does not mean you do not deserve to rest. I feel like that rest is going to become more essential as you do more, as you manifest more, because being in that restful state is what allows you to be receptive, right? That's why I feel like we have the Emperor and the Empress here in this reading. It's finding that balance between your divine feminine and masculine energy within yourself, and knowing when to take guided action and knowing when to step back and rest. I feel like that's extremely important for this new phase of your life that you're manifesting for yourself, because this is somebody here who has a lot of bountiful blessings. Yo, like this person is tending to these grapes, right? And I feel like this is just, as a final advice, this is just saying, like, don't be afraid to rest. I'm being drawn to the lotus flower on this Four of Swords, which is really interesting. You know what I mean? And I feel like because this person has their helmet off, this has a lot to do with the, essentially, it has to do with the lotus flower of, it's like an enlightening, ascending type of energy, right? I feel like there's this energy where it's like the lotus flower, to me, if that is a lotus flower, represents the expansion of your consciousness. And as you're expanding this in this very deep way, right, there's a need to essentially make sure that you are taking care of yourself to be able to manifest from a healthy space. Like, what is the unknown trying to speak to you about right now? What are these hidden aspects of your subconscious that are trying to be made conscious? What unconscious patterns do you need to make conscious and put an end to? Right? This is what this eclipse and this plutonic energy is asking of us. Even though this is timeless, this can resonate whenever you watch it. It doesn't even have to be time is fluid, man. So even though we're in these transits and we're in this eclipse energy now, this can resonate at any time, quite honestly. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there, man. As a final advice, don't be afraid to rest, but also don't be afraid to put in work. You know, don't be afraid to enjoy your blessings. It's also what I'm seeing, Nine of Pentacles. Don't be afraid to enjoy it. You know, think about why you're doing the things you're doing and what kind of blessings that's bringing for you. What does that look like for you? Are you taking time to enjoy the things you've built? And I feel like that's why we have the restful energy here. It's taking time to really look at everything that you've done and be very grateful for where you are compared to where you've been, and grateful for where you're going, right? We talked about this receptivity energy of gratefulness, right? Let's go and leave it there. Oh, bottom of the deck before I end, we have the Wheel of Fortune. Again, blessings coming in, the wheel is turning, starting a new cycle. We are on the new moon. A lot of beautiful things coming in for you, man. don't be afraid to rest and enjoy them, right? I'm going to leave it there. We're going to take it over to Patreon. But that said, if you want to book a personal, everything's in the description. I'll never contact you in any way, shape, or form. The only way to book a reading is to DM me on Instagram or send me an email. If you want to watch the extendeds or listen to my music, all of that is in the description. And thank you again to all of you so much. I love you and I appreciate you. All of your likes, subscribes, and almost said follows. All of that stuff, man, in the comments and stuff. I really appreciate you guys, man. I will see you in the next reading or on Patreon. Goodbye.